It's actually a shame that this interview is taking place after our live show battle, because it would have been really good for me to do my ring walk with a heavyweight boxer behind me in my corner, like backing me.
I still don't know whether we got to the bottom of whether you won because of the dish or because of the punishment.
No, it was the dish. Like, they voted on the dish.
I don't think we've had full confirmation of that.
No, I mean, I
think it's
them,
mad
Ben.
that at the time there were well over 3,000 people watching at home. There were well over 30 people in the studio, but it boiled down to the opinions of 3.
Yeah.
So, right,
that's the way the world works. That's the way the world works. But anyway, having said that, I don't
think we've ever really talked much about your love of boxing on the channel before.
Well, I love watching sport, but I love anything where someone is doing something at such a high level that requires such commitment that I just think I could never do that in a million years. I mean, look at me. I definitely could not box. But I even, dare I say it, sometimes feel that way when I watch like Ben or Cush or James Cook. You know, when they're just operating on such like a virtuoso level that you're just like, wow, like, how are they doing that? So Johnny Fisher, heavyweight boxer, he's a big foodie, got a big social media following from his Chinese menu order.
And his dad and his
dad's
whole family.
A massive personality. Yeah. Like they've essentially created like something. So he's got a catchphrase which is Bosch. They have Goggle Bosch, which like documents.
Can I give it a go?
Family life. Go on.
A Bosch.
A Bosch.
A Bosch.
It's back of the throat Bosch, isn't it?
A Bosch.
Yeah.
I mean, his whole family are foodie. Like, they literally, their business is cheese and meat. Like, they literally supply most of Essex and a whole bunch of restaurants with cheese and meat.
Fascinating. Obviously, I've got a lot of predetermined interest, but anything that we should be asking Ebbers?
Well,
any questions?
We know one of his favourites, so I would love for you to get him to try my balls. So I've made them incredibly specially today with our sorted recipe.
Sweet and sour chicken balls.
Sweet and sour chicken balls. One of his favourite Chinese orders. He's kind of known for his chicken balls, so I've made him some, and I'd love to know what he thinks.
You know, if I phrased the question in the way that you just have, I would get punched in the face.
Yeah.
No, he's a sportsman, not a thug.
He'd get knocked into next week.
And that's just if he exhaled. Look at me, I'm a feather.
Not even featherweight.
No.
Just a feather.
I have no weight. Johnny, we'll start with the question that we ask everyone. Your foodgasm. Tell us about what that dream dish is.
The first thing that comes to my mind is Friday night, walk down to the Blue Orchid, B2, me, my dad, my brothers, my sister and my mum, get greeted by Stingray, Ruthless Richard and Dangerous Danny. And B2, so you start off with, on the B2 you get mixed hors d'oeuvres to start, so you get your spicy pork, your chicken satay, your crispy cabbage, sesame prawn toast, you get through that, and then you get onto the crispy aromatic duck. If you've made it that far, you can get onto the main dishes, Kampo prawns, special fried rice, chow mein, you name it, everything. And then we finish with apple fritters or pineapple fritters with a bit of ice cream and a nice coffee to finish off. That's my dream.
That sounds less like a dream and more like something that you're quite used to ordering.
I live my dream every week.
Wow.
No, it's good. The Blue Orchid in Romford, it's been there for decades. My mum and dad have been going there since I was 15, 16 years old. So there's that family connection there, and they're great guys, and it's just it's not too fancy. It's lovely, fresh food. It's delicious, and you can go in there any time of the week and you're going to be welcome. So it's a great place.
So you've mentioned Romford, Essex, it's where you're from, and that family, coming together as a family to eat together. Is this something that was a regular occurrence as you were growing up? Was there like a food family dynamic that was prevalent from your childhood?
Well, food it's ingrained into our way of life, really. When we're on a holiday, the next thing's always about when's the next meal going to be. When you're at home, whether it's with my parents having a Chinese on a Saturday night, going around my granddad's, my nan and granddad's, we used to do that when he was here and have Chinese at his house. So it is a lot to do with Chinese, but it's not just Chinese. It's all different dinners and stuff, roast dinners. It's food is family time at the same time, and there's always arguments about who's getting more food or who's taking the last good bit of beef. You know what it's like, but food is ingrained into who we are.
I love that, and I don't think we've spoken to anybody yet on the podcast who lives out their dream. They're always kind of like these imagined scenarios and kind of this mixture of, well, I want to be over here, but I want to be eating this, and I want to be with those people over there. To bring that all together and actually have it as something that takes place week in, week out. That sounds, I mean, that is the dream, which is a weird way of saying it.
I mean, so you've achieved your food dreams already.
I have, but it's always great to go and when you try new places and have new experiences. But I think the thing for me, food is a comfort thing as well. So it's nice knowing that you've already got that and you've got it under your belt, and that's why I associate comfort with. Because my job, obviously, being a boxer, is hard, it's tough, and then after fights, when you can relax, that's the most important thing. Being able to be comfortable at home, and food is a big part of that.
Well, that's something that's really fascinating, specifically to me. What's a day in the life of a heavyweight boxer, and where does food play a role in that?
So it's interesting. I've literally, in the last week, I've got a new nutritionist on board, and before, my food's been great. In camp, I'm very strict, and I make sure I eat the right foods. It's a lot of food, but you have to eat the right foods, and obviously when I'm in camp, there's no such thing as eating Chinese every week. You have to hold off.
So is this like a scout camp?
Oh my!
Are you in your tents or?
Right. You're so lucky that he can't reach you.
Yeah, we're intense and with the hubs and stoves that we use, but it just means like you're in a different psychological mode. You're in training mode. Nothing else matters. Everything comes secondary to your training camp. So
it's like a period before leading up to a fight, isn't it?
Normally about 8 weeks before, but when they call it a camp, some people go away and they travel abroad. They'll train in Spain. They'll go to America, which I've done before to train. But food, in our relationship with food as a boxer, it is enjoyable for me, obviously, because I love food, but you've got to view it first and foremost as your fuel for training. So it's about necessity. Sometimes you might not be hungry, but you've got to eat this. You've got to make sure you get electrolytes in at certain points in the day, eating at specific times, the macronutrients that you take in. Sometimes you've got to have a higher carb intake, sometimes a higher fat intake. So there's a science behind all of the foods that we eat. And boxing, it's an art form, and you have to appreciate that side of it. But the science that goes into it and the numbers, they have to be adhered to as well.
Is there a risk, because you're clearly a foodie, you know, you're talking about the relationship with food and family, is there a danger that you sort of fall out of love with food because you're having to look at it in such a functional way?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'm waking up and having the same breakfast I've had for 6 weeks in a row.
What would that be?
So just for example, in Vegas a couple of months ago when I was boxing there, I was really, really privileged to be put up in the Plaza Hotel, Las Vegas, downtown in Las Vegas, the main hotel down there. They sponsored me for that camp, but the food options we had, it was scrambled eggs every morning. If you're being told you've got to have scrambled eggs every morning for 6 weeks,
Takes
there's
a
only
choice
so many
away.
eggs you can have, you know.
And it doesn't matter if it's your favourite food in the world or not. Like, it's the choice being taken away.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. When someone's telling you you've got to eat something at a certain time or certain food, it takes the enjoyment out of it. The enjoyment of going to the Chinese is, sometimes I shouldn't really be in there. It's because I'm choosing to go there, you know. Yeah. That's the fun of food as well. So when it's being regimented, it's like you've got to detach yourself from the enjoyment side of it, and it's fuel, putting stuff in ready for your next training session.
So in training camp, scrambled eggs for breakfast. What's next?
Typically, when I wake up, I'll have to have an electrolyte tablet before I do anything else, and then I have a black coffee to wake myself up. And it's eggs. I don't really like even scrambled eggs. I'm not a fan of, or boiled eggs. And textures, for me, textures and foods are a big thing.
I'm with you. That's my thing.
I don't like I don't like avocados. I don't like mushrooms, tomatoes, bananas. I don't like that texture of food, if I'm being honest. So it would be eggs I normally have in the morning, and I like smoked salmon normally. That's my breakfast, with a bit of low-fat Greek yogurt, strawberries, pineapple. So you're good for your digestive system as well. Then straight after training, got to have a protein shake just for that initial hit. Then I have my main meal, so I'll go straight to either a cafe where they can do nice lamb chops or tuna mayonnaise, jacket potato, something like that. And then I'll eat again before I train. So that's something relatively light. Again, a bit of smoked salmon or fish, a mackerel with some oat cakes, something like that. And then protein shake again straight after the second session. And then I'll have a meal when I get home. So that can be anything from chicken and noodles, stuff like that, high carb based, depending on what I've got the next day. And then I'll eat before I go to bed, because I can't eat without going to sleep. So we're looking at about 5,000-6,000 calories a day, depending on training. And doing that day in, day out gets really hard, because you can have one day normally people have where they overindulge. But for me, it's about eating 2 or 3 hours a day, getting 5 litres of water in as well. Because I'm young still, I'm only just turned 25, so my metabolic rate is very high. So I've got to be mindful that if I don't get enough food in, I'm going to be eating into my muscle, I'm going to be eating into my body weight, which I don't want to do.
You think about that and you go, wow, that's amazing. But like you said, take the choice out of it and doing it regularly. That's when, actually...
It's time consuming as well. Yeah. I love cooking. I'm not the best cook in the world, but I love cooking at home. I've got my own kitchen, my new house. It's just all been done. I'm enjoying doing that. But it's hard to be cooking and doing that. It takes hours off the day. So I'm very lucky where I live. I've got a great, you're going to laugh, it's a fish and chip shop, right? But they do really good grilled stuff as well. So I'm not going in there having cod and chips every day, like battered sausage. They do nice lobster, they do crab, they do Dover sole, and they do nice teriyaki rice with it and noodles. And I can go there and eat clean and eat fresh, and they're great chefs in there. So that saves me so much time, just going there and having that, and that can be done in half hour, 45 minutes. Whereas if I'm cooking at home, it could take an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what you're cooking. So as much as I love doing it, you've got to be mindful of time constraints as well.
So you're saying that obviously you're cooking a lot of that food for yourself. Was cooking something that you got into early on, or you developed because you had to feed yourself that amount of calories and you had to have that control over your diet?
Well, I've always loved cooking since I was about 12, 13 years old. Like my mum, God bless her, she does her best. She's a good cook of some things. She does a good roast dinner, but this is a running joke, so she might be a bit peed off with me doing this, but she tends to burn the meats on Christmas dinner and roast dinners, and so
it's hard. There's like
it's
10 things going on
yeah.
at once at different times.
And we've got a big family, and we normally have our aunts and uncles over as well, so it's a lot to manage. But I just got into the habit of starting to cook the roast dinners and stuff, and I loved cooking anyway, so it was a natural progression when I became a professional boxer that I can do it myself as well, and I actually enjoy it. So there is that. It helps the way I enjoy being around food, that I can make it as interesting as I can.
Do you have a signature dish?
I do like making beef short ribs, slow cooked, and you can pull the bones out of them.
Yes.
We used to sell meat on a van, me and my dad, during lockdown, because our original business, which was selling cheese, it obviously closed down. There's no restaurants to sell to, everything was closed. So we started selling meat, and one of the things we had was Jacob's Ladders, obviously the beef short ribs. And we done a little video about cooking them, and it went a little bit viral even then, before we had a big following on Instagram. And I just love meat cooking and stuff like that, brisket, pork belly, stuff like that, and chicken curry. Just I don't believe in making food too fancy, and I think it's got to taste good. That's all that matters, and if you can do it like that, that's the most important thing.
At the end of the day, that's what makes people happy as well. Like if you're cooking for other people, all they want is decent tasting food.
Definitely.
And yeah, you can plate it nicely and you can serve it up with fancy stuff, but honestly, make something delicious.
Exactly.
That's all that
want to
matters.
eat.
Yeah.
Well, I've been to a couple of restaurants in London, and they're really fancy. I won't say their names, and they looked great on the plate, and yeah, it tastes nice, but you get 2 lamb chops and that's it, and you get a little bit of potato on the side, and you leave, and you probably go back and we order a Chinese or fish and chip on the way back anyway. But when I've been to another restaurant in Mayfair, they don't do it like that, and it's just they plonk it on your plate, peas, carrots, bit of meat, but it's all cooked lovely. It's big, healthy portions, hearty portions. That's what people want, and I think the more and more I grow up, that's what I'm realising people want. They just want no frills, good food that tastes lovely. That's what people want, and they want value for money as well.
So let's dig into a bit of that history then around the meat and the cheese selling. So you were out on the van with your dad doing this. This was like a family business.
Yes, we've got a family business, and by the way, I absolutely hate cheese. I think it might be where I've been around cheese my whole life. Coats and cheese, mild cheddar. I know all the cheeses off the top of my head, the Dana, everything. It was a stressful time. Even then, like what my dad does now is better, because he earns a living. He doesn't earn massive money, but it's an easier thing. It's very stressful at the time. There's a lot of suppliers involved, and people owing money, and you've got to pay them before you've been paid for that. So, and then the meat side of it just came out of the blue, because we had to earn and turn money around some way. I was working for 50 quid a day, from starting about 9 a.m, but we wouldn't finish till 1 a.m. most nights, and I was still at uni at the time, so I'd go and do my dissertation at home after that till about 3 a.m. Like everyone was struggling at that time. We just got on with it, and it was fun, but it was also nerve-wracking at the time. But yeah, that's how the love of I met good butchers through that, and that really ignited up my love of food again, because you're at home after that on a Sunday. That's our one day off, and you just spend it cooking and sitting in the garden with your family and stuff, and barbecues every day, and that's what food again became the central part of what it is to be a family. You know, having food around the table all the time. You do see that a lot in Essex and the East End of London as well, whether that's pie mash, things like that, and jelly deals. There's some weird things that go on with the food, like the jelly deals. Like that's something I've never taken to, but my dad loves them. He'll sit there and he'll eat them, and the roll mops and the herrings and things like that. But food is just ingrained into our DNA, I think, and it is about family time ingrained in that as well.
It's something I'd love to do more of, is like that weekend. Just if you come around on a Sunday, you just know there's going to be food. I haven't quite cracked it.
I love the theory.
It's hard to book the time. The theory is great, but people are so busy these days, aren't they?
And also the prep that you have to put in. Like, I just end up getting stressed
I
out.
think my mum just she just goes with it now. She knows it's going to be a madhouse and crazy in my parents' house, so she goes with it. But going back to what you said about going around someone's house and knowing that there's going to be food there, one name that just springs to mind is my nan's house, and I know I'm going to get fed, and probably too much at some point. So I remember my nan and granddad, when they used to take me to football matches when I was young, right, they would overfeed me, and my mum and dad would be like, don't give him too much. I was a bit chunky and chubby when I was young. They said, don't give him McDonald's after football, don't give him this, don't give him sausage rolls. And they'd be like, on the way back from football, they'd be like, right, Johnny, don't tell your mum and dad that we've taken you to McDonald's. And then my granddad walked into my old dad's, and he couldn't hide it himself, and he's like, well, I've got to tell you, we took you to McDonald's. And I was getting chunkier and chunkier. And I used to be at the point where I was like almost being sick when I used to go out with them, because they just let me indulge in whatever I want to do.
It's the grandparents' job, though, isn't
That
it?
is the
It's
job.
the grandparents' job. They've got to sport, yeah.
I'll sit in her front room and I'll be watching an old, like me and my granddad watching an old cowboy film or something. I remember us doing that, and then every 15, 20 minutes they'd be, oh, do you want some lamb chops, Johnny? Oh, do you want some chicken curry and rice? Oh, do you want this leftover prawns from yesterday? I was like,
Wow.
well, I can't say no, because everything you're bringing up is delicious. And then it's Christmas time, there's always quality streets and celebrations around there, and just the chocolate is a thing, always biscuits bringing up, and that's the danger. That's the dangerous foods, when you just got biscuits and crisps and chocolate to snack on the whole time. So I can't sit around my nan's too long. If I lived there, I'd be about 32 stone by now. Yeah.
So you've mentioned briefly your dad and a bit of the videos and the social following that you and your family have sort of amassed over this. Is it fair to say you're at the beginning of your heavyweight boxing career?
Yeah,
11 fights?
11
so
fights
far?
in. And we're just on the cusp of moving into them bigger fights now. And every fight's offered a different challenge, and we've tried to incrementally step up. And now we're getting into the serious business. So we're still at the beginning, but we're climbing all the time, you know?
Yeah, let's go right to the beginning. How did you get into it? Who chooses, I'm going to be a heavyweight boxer? Because as you said, you're at uni studying history, was it?
History, I studied there.
How have you gone from there all the way up until sort of present day?
Well, boxing has always been a part of my life. I remember there's pictures of me when I was 3-4 years old in like dressing gowns with boxing gloves on and stuff like that. And I've always loved it. I boxed at an amateur boxing club called Ongo, later called Brentwood Youth ABC. And it was only when I started playing rugby at university, I broke my hand at sixth form. I was 15, 16, played at Cooper's, broke my hand, and then for the foreseeable future, I didn't box. So from about the age of 15 to 19, I didn't box. I was playing rugby at Exeter, obviously, a great rugby university.
Which position?
Second row. And I was sort of learning as I was going. I was a really good ball carrier, but I didn't really know much of the technical side of it, like the line out, the scrum. So I was very raw, but I was playing with great players in Exeter. Obviously, a lot of them play Premiership rugby now, a lot of the boys who play there. So I learned and got the people I was around made me become better myself. And it was only in the second year of uni I started doing a bit of boxing training to help with the fitness of rugby again, and I just found myself falling in love with boxing again. I sparred a couple of pros, Dave Allen and Joe Joyce, who's my good friend. My managers, who weren't my managers then, but they took me out to Vegas to spar with Joe Joyce. I was over the moon with that, and I was only a uni student at the time. I was second year at uni. I couldn't believe the opportunity to go and do that. And long story short, COVID happened, and they said, why not just turn pro, give it a go? And I thought, why not? I'd only had 10 amateur fights, and not really something you would do at that stage, but started winning some fights. Eddie Hearn signed me as well right at the beginning. That was great. Got a few knockouts, started selling a lot of tickets, sold 2,000 tickets at the O2, then 3,000 tickets in my fifth fight at Ali Pally.
Because that's quite unprecedented, isn't it? That sort of volume.
It is.
Where do they come from? Are they mates? Are they the community?
It is to do with my mates where I live. Obviously in Essex, people get behind you. I've got a big family, got 2 brothers, a little sister, family, friends, and this is all before our sort of Instagram blew up in terms of my dad, me, Big John, Chinese and all that stuff. This is just we've done it naturally, and I think going to Exeter actually helped spread it as well, because my friends there all from different parts of the country, they all got behind me and supported me, and it grew a following. And this was back in 2021. I think I sold 2,500-3,000 tickets at Ali Pally, and Eddie Hearn was saying that just unprecedented. People don't sell this for world title fights. So I'm really lucky, and I'm very, very grateful that I've got people who want to come and support me and pay hard-earned money to watch me fight. And now I'm Southern Area Champion at 11 fights in. I got Young Boxer of the Year last year, so I'm very, very excited about where it can go, and it's all testament to people supporting me, and I've got to keep working hard. It's a very hard sport, boxing, and like we're talking about food, everything's got to be meticulous as you step up the levels. So it's only going to get harder from here, but I'm enjoying it, and that's the main thing.
But it feels like with the whole rugby thing as well, just from me not being a sports person in any way, but listening to stories of athletes, so many times it feels to me like there's people who could go in one or two different directions in different sports, and something happens and they change direction and go into a different sport. But they could have easily gone into being a professional rugby player, a professional football player, but they're at a certain level and then just choose a direction and head in that one.
I think it's just how life works out as well. Like if I didn't say yes to going to spar in Las Vegas, I wouldn't have been a professional boxer, because I could have easily stayed at home at Exeter, because I had to finish my degree, obviously. But and they was all saying I was on track for a first in history. And
what was your dissertation?
It was on the aerial bombing of Germany in 1944 to 45 and public perceptions of it in Germany, and how news articles reflected on it. And because we talk a lot about, without going off on a tangent, we talk a lot about the Blitz and how bad that was, obviously horrific, but the things that happened to Dresden and Hamburg, it was tenfold as bad, and we don't really appreciate it over here, because obviously we talk about what happened to us, but in Germany it was just as bad, or 10 times worse. So I was on track for a first in that, but my faculty said you probably end up with a 2-1, but a 2-1 I was happy with, because that gives me access to any career paths I wanted to do after that. So
I'd say 2-1 is the best degree to get, actually.
Yeah, I'll do, because it shows you've done what you needed to do, but
tried.
You've enjoyed the
exactly.
university experience, because I think that's what people are getting lost in at the minute as well. Grades aren't as important as what people make it out to be. I think the experiences and the people that you meet at university, that can be just as valuable in the network that you create. And that's what happened for me, because I've become a professional boxer, but if I didn't make the friends I made at university, I wouldn't have the support I have. So that's just one example of that. But it's just funny, as you said, how things just work out. It could have been very different. I wouldn't say I'd be a fantastic rugby player, but I could have played at a certain level and learned as I went on. But it's funny how the world works.
So were your manager now,
Yeah.
at the time, obviously must have seen something to say, right, do you fancy going over to Vegas? I mean, how does that work out?
Well, S-Jam Boxing, who managed me at the time, who's still with me now, Adam Morley and Sam Jones, who was there. They were the guys who got me over to Vegas, and they always knew I'd be handy for 2 or 3 rounds sparring Joe, and I think that's the first time they sort of thought, he's got a big following. We've seen that from his university amateur fights, but he's got something here, and he's shown the toughness to come over here and just rock up, because it was pretty unheard of at the time. I think I'd had 4 fights at that point, and I just thought I'll give it a good go. I was a bit of a scrapper, a bit reckless, didn't really know what I was doing. Still don't know now, but I'm a little bit better than I was then. And I came into this sport with no expectations. Just keep it that way and just keep going one fight at a time, and we'll see where we end up. And to win the Southern Area title was a dream I could never have dreamed of, to be in the history books with some other great names, and then hopefully we'll go on there for the English and the British title, and if I can end my career and I've won the British title and that's it, that would be an unbelievable achievement for me.
It's so much about saying yes and having a mindset to opportunities that are presented to you. And like you say, you're in the middle of a dissertation, you're on track for a first. You've got, did you have a career path in mind?
I was going to do a law conversion course and become a barrister. That's what we was talking about in my management, because S-Jam, Adam Morley is a lawyer as well, Brian Smith's just round the corner. And what I was hoping for at the start time when I was in Vegas is maybe I could get a bit of work experience and become a barrister and learn how to do that. And then it's just gone full circle. Well, now I'm up here because I'm a boxer, which is great. But that was the plan, to be a barrister. My auntie's a barrister as well, and she works in criminal law. I was thinking about going into commercial law.
Because it is having those opportunities presented to you, and thinking that, well, do you know what, that wasn't where I was planning on going, and I don't know if that's what I want to do. But saying yes to these things that come up, we never know what is going to happen next.
You've got to say yes.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. Like, the more things you say yes to, and if you give 110% in whatever you do, then 9 times out of 10, one of them things is going to pay off. So that's what I would any young people out there, just make sure you give 110%, and anyone that gives you an opportunity, say yes and figure it out later how it's going to work out.
The fear is always in the unknown.
Yeah.
And even in your head, if the worst case scenario happens, you figure it out.
And you don't want to be that person who 10, 15, 20 years down the line says, what if I did take that opportunity? I could have been sitting here and I probably would have been okay, would have been in a great position, but you never know. And you always look back and say, what if I did say yes and I did go to Vegas and I didn't worry about if getting a first or a 2-1. Like, I'm in a much better position now because I took a little bit of a risk. And there's still a lot of work to do. And I'm not saying I'm in a superstar position, but I'm just on a good journey and I'm enjoying myself and I've got great people around me and I'm going to keep trying to do the best I can.
Is there anything that you're not allowed to eat? Absolutely, categorically, it's off the menu.
This is something we discussed literally 2 days ago. So there's different protein brands. So like protein shakes, you have to be extremely careful.
Yeah, with all the testing and stuff.
So
like
you've got to have stuff that's done by informed sport. So that's all been batch tested, and so there's no other traces of anything else in it. So because people have been caught in the past, or not caught, or accidentally taken stuff that's got trace substances from other things in the factory, and you can be failed for drugs tests for things like that. And that's something you've got to be very, very mindful of. That's part of our job. To be mindful of things like that. So
it's like an ignorance isn't an excuse. Yeah,
it's not. You just got to be extremely careful. And it's great. I've got a nutritionist on board now and can be on top of that and just remind me of things. So I've got to be very, very strict with them sort of supplements. So that's one thing cannot eat. But as a heavyweight in terms of general food, I can indulge in a lot of things as long as I'm being accountable and not going overboard. So I can have a cheat meal once every couple of weeks and. It's just being moderate with what you do.
And as you've kind of got better and better and moved up the levels, how has the nutrition changed? Is it just even more sort of scientific?
Yeah. It's a bit more of a numbers game now.
Okay.
Like, whereas my first 10 fights was probably, not guessing, but you I stick to a rule, you are what you eat. You eat a lot of whole foods that grow out the ground, or they're animals that eat food from the ground and stuff, and you're doing something.
Yeah,
right.
almost paleo style.
Yeah, you know you're being sensible. Stay away from McDonald's. Stay away from Kentucky Fried Chicken. As hard as that is. But,
tell me about it.
Yeah, but,
I'm not even any type of athlete.
It's hard to stay away.
That one.
Yeah, it is hard because they are delicious. But you always feel a bit bad after you've ate it, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, it's great eating
guilt,
all the time.
yeah.
The guilt, and also just the way it makes you feel. You feel stodged down. You feel horrible. But I guess now it's just about making things a little bit more measurable. So not counting calories, but just being mindful of the grams of protein, macros, stuff in, and all the different carbs, fats, all that sort of stuff. Making sure I'm hitting them goals and getting all my micronutrients in as well. So zinc tablets, vitamin C, making sure I'm getting enough vegetables and green stuff in as well. But being mindful of when I take it and how much I do. Hopefully in the next 2-3 weeks, I think it's something like 3 or 4 weeks it will take to see changes in yourself. So
really, even the timing of when you eat certain things during the day.
Electrolyte tablets and things like that. I'll take that before I have anything. Even before black coffee, you've got to make sure that you have your electrolyte tablets, and getting food in straight after training. So you think after a training session, if you don't eat for 45 minutes to an hour, if you just have a normal meal, because that's how long it can take to prepare, you're eating into body fat stores, carb stores that you should be using for training the next day. So it's really important that you time things. Even I'm going to Texas tomorrow to spar with Filip Hrgovic.
You're going to have some good barbecue.
Definitely. But even on the plane tomorrow, he's saying, right, you're going to have to adjust what time you eat tomorrow morning for jet lag. So I'm not going to be able to eat anything till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I've got to go through the day, which is hard for me because I'll get really hungry.
Yeah, and are you allowed to eat the plane food?
That's what we're saying. He's saying you've got to bring a protein shake on with you. You've got to have a protein bar there. Got to bring 3 hard-boiled eggs on, creatine as well. Like, this is a whole new level to me, even because I'm not used to doing this. I'll usually eat steak off the plane, but he said the protein quality of food on the plane is not very high, and you've got to get a high protein snack from like an M&S or something if you're there, like a chicken wrap or something. But I've now got to be mindful of what time I eat and what I'm eating, and making sure I get a protein shake, which I've never really been into protein shakes, if I'm being honest. But he's right in what he's saying, because that initial hit of just getting something in that's going to satiate you and it's going to make sure that you're not eating into your own food stores in your body, that's really, really important.
It's either that or it's have another meal.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you're having 5-6 meals a day,
right, no one's going to be ready at the side of the gym with a roast potatoes and chicken at the side of the ring straight after sparring. That's pretty hard to do. I'll probably enjoy it, but it's a lot easier. When you first finish training, you're not hungry straight away. Like, it takes half hour for me anyway, to be hungry. So just having a drink, right, I can chuck down straight away.
It's really exciting though to think, like, you've got to this level, you've got this benchmark of performance.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to make the changes, and like you say, it's kind of taking it to the next level.
That's the exciting part.
And now seeing what happens to your performance after that in a few weeks' time, that must be like amazing to see.
Definitely.
What sort of dials you can turn.
Because I've made it, as you said, to this point, and now this is the exciting part where you think, right, now how much further can I take it, and how far?
I wasn't even trying before.
Yeah, no, that's what it's saying. We've done it hard before. Now it's going to get even harder. Now I've got to watch what times I'm eating and stuff. But you've got to be switched on. You can't just be willy-nilly with it now. Like before, I wasn't willy-nilly, but you're just like, you go with it. You're going where your body feels. But now there's a set structure that I've got to follow, and that excites me in a way because it's something new, it's something different, and soon it won't just feel like it's a chore. It will just become part of the lifestyle that I've got to live. So that's what I've got to ingrain into myself over the next 6 weeks.
Well, it just seems like such commitment and hard work and dedication that actually, if you believe that the reasons and what you're doing are benefiting you, that's
what it's all about. The
has
end
to
goal.
be worth it, doesn't
You
it?
have to think what's motivating you, what's the end goal, and then that's what keeps you on track. Because it's really easy doing it in your first week of doing it, 2 weeks, but when you're 6-7 weeks into camp and you're feeling tired, you're groggy, you don't want to talk to anyone, that's the challenge. What I've got to get through that then down the line.
At the risk of the wrath of your new nutritionist, we know you're a big sweet and sour chicken balls fan. And Ben, who's our mate, who's a chef,
Yes.
has knocked you up some. Ooh. Now, obviously, no pressure to try one, but
I'm going to try one.
you are okay. Great. We can absolutely vouch that this has all been made by someone who knows exactly what he's doing.
He also said that he'll spar with you to help burn some calories.
Yeah.
Tell him to tie his hands behind us. He's got no chance whatsoever.
But yeah, so in front of you, you have Ben's sweet and sour chicken balls.
Can I have a try?
Yeah, please do.
I can have one, and then I can
Yeah.
get it into.
And we want you to be
Factor it
brutally
in.
honest.
Oh, it's a nice light batter I can feel.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, is that chicken thigh?
Yeah. Chicken thigh.
I've never had a chicken thigh chicken ball before, and I'm definitely going to have one again because that is delicious. It's very different to what you get from a Chinese takeaway. Do you think?
I think it's very different.
They're very thick batter. They're stodgy. They're nice, but they're stodgy. This, I feel like you could eat that and you wouldn't feel. You could have a portion of them. You wouldn't feel terrible after it. You know, that's delicious.
I feel like the takeaway ones, they do such a great job. They taste incredible, but like you say, it does feel a bit more stodgy.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to know how you balance kind of this nutrition side of what you're doing and professionally with the boxing with every Friday night I love to have a massive Chinese with my family and friends.
Well, that's the difference, right? When I've gone into training camp, I won't have Chinese for 6 to 8 weeks. But now it's going to be a lifestyle challenge that I've got on now. I'm now thinking in my head, I've had an epiphany a few weeks back, like, right, if I want to get to the top level of boxing, I can't be having Chineses every week. Mm-hmm. It's just not going to work. And think how much potential I'm not unlocking because I'm eating like that. And although I'm eating healthy throughout the rest of the week, you've got to limit yourself. When I go to the Chinese now, if it's every 2 weeks cheat meal, I won't be having sweet and sour chicken balls. I won't be having kumpo prawns. I'll be having the boiled rice with beef Cantonese style. The good thing about Blue Orchid, it's not like a typical Chinese. It's everything's freshly cooked in their restaurant. And if I ask them to cook something, they can cook it and they can tell me exactly what ingredients they're putting in. Boiled rice, and it still tastes delicious. It's got that oriental flavour to it. But I don't feel stodgy after it because I'm having boiled rice and I do a lovely chicken satay with a little bit of peanut sauce over the top of it.
Lovely.
And you can eat that. And it's like having a normal meal if I cooked it at home, if I had like a stir fry or something at home and I've got nice mixed vegetables. So that's just something I've got to deal with now. And if I want to sacrifice, I've got to do it, you know?
Yeah.
So over the last, I'm trying to think back to when I first saw it. It's probably a couple of years ago. There's these videos of you and Big John, your dad, and your family ordering a Chinese takeaway on the phone and then coming home.
Half an hour passing and then coming back and still ordering.
That's the best point, like 30, 40 minutes when you're waiting for the Chinese to come or you're going to pick it up. That is the best part of the Chinese.
The anticipation.
The anticipation of it. It doesn't get any better than that. But yeah.
But those videos of ordering the food and then seeing the food all displayed and eating it just went absolutely mad. How did that take off, or where did the idea for it first come from?
Well, it started with my brother Henry, who does a lot of our TikTok stuff and social media. He just started secretly filming Big John before we started even getting on board with Chinese. So it'd be Big John having a tantrum at my mum Charlotte for burning some roast dinner or a bit of pork, and he'd run up the stairs. I remember that video coming out, and he just randomly started getting people coming up to him in the street saying, "Are you Big John? Can I have a photo?" And you thought it's because I was a boxer and they'd seen me through the tickets. I was like, no, we want you. You're the Chinese man. You love the Chinese. And then there was one video. He come back after a meal at Il Bordello's in Wapping. It's really nice Italian, like in the old school part of the
corner.
Yeah, it's lovely. And I don't know why, but we ordered the Chinese once we came back as well. And he went, "You was so Chinese." That was the first one that went viral with a big box. And then I think people just resonate with the fact of having a Chinese on a Saturday night after a hard work, week of work, and with the family time as well. People can relate to that, and I think they see that when we're having our Chineses together, look, that's a bit of them, and they feel a little bit less guilty when they see Big John indulging like that. They think, actually, I can have that bit of chocolate, or I can order that Chinese, because if Big John's doing it, I can as well.
Did I see? I think it was a TikTok last week of him at someone's stag do. Yeah. Like they booked him to go to.
They hired like a big mansion in the Cotswolds, and to just surprise the groom, he turned up with like 4 bags of Chinese, and they just all sat in there and had a Chinese for their stag do. It's a bit of a niche idea for a stag do, but
it's great.
It sounded like a good idea, you know. So nothing's bad if it's got Chinese involved.
Yeah, and I mean, add Bosch, add a catchphrase to it as well, and it's just going to take off.
It's the way Big John says it as well.
Yeah.
It goes Bosch. And one video he'd done, he started saying it, and then they was all like, "We love the way you say Bosch. Can you keep saying it like the way you say it?" And so he just carried on saying it. But I think he's sort of like the Bosch word has obviously been great, but I think they resonate with him for the Chinese more than anything now these days. And Big John doing typical British things like going to the seaside and having fish and chips in the car.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like all different
been
things.
there.
He went to Australia and just eating all the food down there, and just even in Australia, he's got a big following now, and we've got big support. Hopefully, I'm going to fight over there in the next year or so, because they're all sports mad, obviously, as well. And when we went down there a few weeks ago, they was all saying, "Come and fight over here." So it's exciting times.
That's really good, and it's the people that you've now got joining you for those videos as well. You were saying you've got some really exciting people coming up.
Yeah, so we've already filmed with some great boxers, and Fabio Wardley, Joe Joyce, obviously, and we've had Bazinga on from the Sidemen. Got George Groves coming on. Eddie Earn's going to come on. So we've got some great names. We've had a couple of England rugby boys that we've got a good relationship with. We love going and watch England play rugby as well. So yeah, it's good to, similar to what you guys do as well. We talk about food and people's relationship with food, and yeah, it's really good, not just to talk about them and their careers, obviously, but everyone can resonate and relate to a Chinese.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we have a final question that we ask all of our guests, which is, what's the one thing that you would say people need to cook before they die? One dish.
A nice raspberry souffle.
Wow, I didn't see that coming.
Because I'm thinking of a culinary sort of a challenge.
Yeah.
Doing a good souffle. I've seen MasterChef The Professionals many times, and a lot of them are struggling there. So if you can cook a good souffle before you die, I haven't cooked one yet, so I need to do it.
I've never cooked one of you. No.
But sometimes, you know, on MasterChef, you see it, and then they've got, some of them that just roast so much. It's amazing. And other people's are like, Greg Wallace is going, no. Yeah. So yeah, raspberry souffle, a bit out there, but you know.
Johnny, thank you so much for coming in. This has been great.
Really, really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on. It's been great.
You.